Good morning, Dr. Condon.
Good morning.
Now, I want to clarify the statutes that you were just talking about with Mr. DeCamp on your direct examination.
Sure.
Now, like you said, you're aware that you have to report any of your patients that have even had one seizure, right?
Yes, absolutely.
And it's actually your belief that you have to report patients if you suspect that they have a seizure disorder, right?
Objection, Your Honor. Relevance as to the doctor's personal belief as to what the law is. The law is the law. What he believes is the law isn't relevant.
Your Honor may be heard.
Yes, you may.
Since we're here today and we have 2 counts of negligence, negligence per se, and regular negligence, this goes to the second regular negligence. If Dr. Condon believes that he has to report a patient who he suspects has a seizure disorder, and then suspects his patient has a seizure disorder and does not, that goes to the second count of regular negligence.
May I be heard?
Sure.
Again, nothing in 401 or anything about this doctor's personal belief goes to inform that second prong of negligence. What he believed the law was, when the law is in fact the law, doesn't make him any more or less reasonable by medical standards. To pry into his belief when the law speaks for itself, Your Honor, is not relevant and could only have the possibility of misleading the jury in this case.
Your Honor may be heard.
Absolutely.
Now, the bar for relevance is extremely low. All it has to do is make the fact of the case more or less likely. Now, Dr. Condon's belief about what his duties are in this case, when we're alleging that he violated one of his duties in the medical standard, is highly relevant and very probative to today's case, since we're analyzing how Dr. Condon acted. Therefore, his thoughts and beliefs upon those actions are highly relevant and highly probative.
May I be heard?
Sure.
Your Honor, duty, negligence, causation, those are all objective things. To get into the subjectivity of his belief and whether his duty is somehow subjective, that would throw the entire court system into disarray, Your Honor. We don't need to go into his subjective belief about the law when Ms. Coley and I can agree that the law is in black letter language, Your Honor. It exists and it is what it is.
Anything else?
Your Honor, I maintain that since the bar for relevance is extremely low, Mr. Condon's belief that he has to report a patient if he suspects a seizure disorder is highly relevant in assessing his actions thereafter.
Last chance.
Your Honor, again, duty, negligence, all the factors of the second count of negligence are all objective, Your Honor. They're for a trier of fact to determine not what this witness believes his duty, whether this witness believes he's negligent, nothing like that. It's all objective. And counsel prying into subjectivity is irrelevant. Doesn't even meet the low bar of 401.
Ms. Coley, you're ahead, so last chance.
Your Honor, I have nothing further. I submit.
Okay, good.
So, Dr. Condon, one more time, it's your belief that you must report a patient to the Department of Transportation if you suspect they have a seizure disorder. Is that right?
That was my misunderstanding of the law a few months ago, yes.
Well, Dr. Condon, you're aware that you had the ability to amend your deposition, right?
Yes, I suppose I could have.
And you chose not to?
Yes.
So it is your belief that you have a duty to report patients if you suspect a seizure disorder, right?
My understanding is that that's not what the statute says. It says if you have a belief.
Well, Dr. Condon, I'm not asking about the statute. Like I said, I'm asking about your personal belief. And I stated your belief correctly. Is that correct?
That's right. At the time, yes.
Now, Dr. Condon, you actually believe that on the night of this accident, it seemed as though Bobby Daly had a seizure, right?
No.
It's not your belief that at the night of this accident, Mr. Daly had a seizure?
No, absolutely not.
So is it your belief that at no time prior to this trial, Mr. Daly had an atonic seizure?
Not quite, no.
Well, it seemed as though he did, right?
It seemed as if he did when he was attacked in the parking lot, when he was beaten. Oftentimes when people suffer blows to the head, they can have an atonic seizure, which is meaning simply that they collapse and they lose consciousness and motor control. So I believe that that happened when he was attacked in the parking lot. But no, ma'am, not at all when he had the accident.
Okay, so you actually believe that prior to your treatment with Mr. Daly, he suffered an atonic seizure?
An atonic seizure resulting from head trauma, just to be clear, not a seizure disorder.
I'm not asking about a seizure disorder, just a yes or no. You believe that prior to your treatment of Mr. Daly, he suffered an atonic seizure, just
Yes, that's right.
one. Okay. Now, I want to talk to you about what you believe your duty is in this case. Now, you mentioned on direct examination that you don't believe that you should have a duty. Is that right?
That's right, yes.
But that's actually not what you said before.
When?
Now, you said before in your deposition that you believe you have no duty to decide who can and cannot drive. Is that correct?
Right, that is my personal belief that I should have no duty.
Well, you didn't say should, did you?
No.
Now, I want to move your attention to Bobby Daly. Now, as you mentioned, Mr. Daly came to you in June of 2015 after suffering head trauma, right?
That's right, yes.
And you had 4 visits with Mr. Daly?
Yes, 4 visits over the course of 9 months.
And the first of those visits was June 22nd, 2015. Did I get that right?
I think that that's correct, yes.
But that's not the first time you ever met Mr. Daly, is it?
No, Mr. Daly, I'd seen him before during some family reunions. He is my, I think, second cousin, twice removed, related by marriage. So I'd seen him a couple times before. I'd never spoken to him before that.
Well, that's right. You're actually related to Mr. Daly. Isn't that correct?
Right, he's my second cousin related by marriage.
So you are related. I did state that correct, Mr. Condon, right?
Yeah, that's right, we're cousins.
And like you said, you'd seen him at things like family reunions. Did I get that right?
Yes,
So let's talk about your first visit. Like we said, June 22nd, 2015, right?
yes, I think that was the date.
And when Mr. Daly came to you, you looked into his family history, correct?
I did, yes.
And you became aware that his grandfather actually had epilepsy. Is that correct?
Yes, he told me that.
And you're aware that epilepsy is a seizure disorder. Is that right?
It is a type of seizure disorder, yes.
And so then you went on and you analyzed Mr. Daly's symptoms.
Yes, I did.
And you found that his symptoms could be indicative of a possible seizure disorder, right?
Yes, they could be indicative of a seizure disorder.
And now, Dr. Condon, have you ever had a patient who's ever had a seizure?
I'm not sure if I recall if I have or not.
So you don't know if you've ever had a patient who's ever had a seizure?
In 25 years, no, I don't recall.
All right. So you don't recall if you've ever had a patient who's ever had a seizure. And Mr. Daly comes to you, and you didn't order diagnostic testing. Is that right?
That's correct. I didn't think it was necessary.
You didn't refer him to a doctor who remembers having patients who've had seizures?
No,
But what you did do is you put him on gabapentin. Is that right?
that's right. I put him on gabapentin for off-label purposes.
But like you mentioned on your direct examination, you're aware that gabapentin is FDA approved to treat seizures.
Well, it's FDA approved to treat seizures and also post-shingles pain, just to be clear.
But one of those FDA approvals is seizures, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Now let's talk about your second visit. Now, your second visit was on July 7th, 2015.
I think that was the date, yes.
And when Mr. Daly came to you on July 7th, he was displaying the exact same symptoms. Is that correct?
Yes, memory loss, loss of concentration, and headaches, I believe.
So if in his first visit, his symptoms were indicative of a seizure disorder, that means in his second visit, they were still indicative of a seizure disorder. Is that right?
Correct, they could be indicative of a seizure disorder. They were not directly indicative of a seizure disorder.
Okay, so they could be indicative of a seizure disorder for a second time.
Yes, that's right.
And you still didn't order diagnostic testing.
No, I didn't.
And you still didn't refer him to a specialist.
No.
So let's talk about your third visit. That was a month later, August 7th, 2015, right?
Yeah, that sounds right.
And this time, Mr. Daly's symptoms actually did change, right?
Yes, they did. He reported to me during that visit a change in the symptoms of his memory loss. That he had gone from having what we might call regular periods of memory loss. to
Objection, Your Honor, the
significant-
witness is being non-responsive. I simply asked if there was a change in his symptoms. I didn't ask what they were.
Have you heard, Your Honor? Of course. The defendant in this case is merely elaborating on what those symptoms were. Counsel opened the door by asking if there were new symptoms.
Your Honor, I asked a simple yes or no questions if his symptoms had changed.
I'll
And-
allow it, let's move on, but I'll allow it, go ahead.
Yes, Your Honor. So Dr. Condon, like you were trying to say, that change in symptoms was more significant gaps in his memory, right?
Yes, he reported to me 4 or 5 times that had happened.
4 or 5 times over the past month, right?
Right, since my last visit with him.
And he reported instances of waking up lying down on or near the couch when he last remembered sitting on it.
Yes, that's correct.
And he reported to you an instance like this in the shower, right?
An instance, just to be clear, of significant memory loss in the shower. Yes.
And so an instance of significant memory loss in the shower, right?
Yes, that's right.
And you found that now his symptoms were suggestive of a possible seizure disorder. Is that correct?
Not quite. I found that that specific symptom was suggestive of a seizure disorder.
So he had symptoms that were suggestive of a possible seizure disorder, right?
Not quite. That one symptom, the significant memory loss, that was suggestive of a seizure disorder.
Okay, so just to be clear, he had a symptom of significant memory loss at the third visit that's suggestive of a possible seizure disorder.
Yes, that's right.
But you didn't choose to order diagnostic testing,
No, ma'am.
and you didn't choose to refer him to a specialist.
No.
But you did choose to increase his gabapentin intake, didn't you?
That's right.
So I want to make something very clear, Dr. Condon. The only change in Mr. Daly's symptoms was an increase in memory loss, right?
That's right. From the second to the third visit, that was the only change.
Well, Dr. Condon, gabapentin doesn't treat memory loss, does it?
No.
But what it does treat is seizures.
That is one of the things it treats, yes.
So you decided that you were going to monitor his symptoms, right?
Yes, I always monitor patient symptoms.
And you were going to set up diagnostic testing if at the next visit his symptoms persisted, is that right?
Correct. If he reported to me at any point that his symptoms persisted, then I would have ordered diagnostic testing.
Well, Dr. Condon, isn't it true that the next visit you had was 7 months later?
I think it was actually 6 months.
So from August to March is 6 months?
I think it's 6 months, and if I recall correctly, 6 months and 5 or 6 days was the period of time between those.
August 7th to March 7th is 6 months and 5 or 6 days, Dr. Condon? Is that your testimony today?
I suppose it's 7 months.
So 7 months later, you had the 4th visit.
That's right.
And at this 4th visit, you decided that his symptoms were no longer suggestive of a seizure disorder. Is that right?
Correct. I ruled that out at that point.
So again, I want to make something very clear. After increasing the intake of a drug approved to treat seizures, Mr. Daly's symptoms that were indicative of a seizure disorder decreased.
Yes, absolutely.
So then, like you said, you ruled out a seizure disorder.
Correct.
And you did not report Mr. Daly to the Department of Transportation, right?
No, I had no need to.
Now, I want to talk to you about the medical reports that you made for today's case. And we're going to use the same blowups that you just used on your direct examination, so you'd recognize them, right?
Sure.
Now, I want to talk to you about the first one. Go ahead. Now, Dr. Condon, this is the same blow-up that you just saw a few minutes ago on your direct examination, right?
Yeah, I can't tell what visit it was, but it looks like a patient report of mine.
Well, it says, if you can't see it, it says June 22nd, 2015 right up here, right?
I can't see it, but I have no reason to doubt that.
No, okay. And now, Dr. Condon, you'd agree with me that from your vantage point, it looks like this first section of this report is all in the same font, right?
Actually, I can't see it, so.
Would you like me to move it closer?
That would be great if you could.
For simplicity, could
Why
you
don't you look at
set
it
it
in the
down?
book?
Oh, yeah, why don't you open
Do
the
you know what
binder in tab
is?
3?
Tab 3?
Tab 3.
Okay.
Your Honor, may I ask the members of the jury if they can see it?
Yes.
Okay. Are you there, Dr. Condon?
Yeah.
Okay, so you'd agree with me that the first paragraph looks to be all in the same font, right?
Which visit are you on, just to be clear?
First one.
Okay.
All the same font?
Yes.
This second part, all the same font, right?
Yes, it is.
But under this third section, assessment, you'd agree with me that there's one sentence in there that looks different.
Yeah, the last sentence in the assessment section, patient advised against driving for the time being is in a different font.
It's actually in a different size too, isn't it?
It could be, yeah.
Well, in this second one too. If you could flip the page.
Sure.
And that's your second visit, right?
That is, yes.
And again, the first part, all in the same font.
It is.
Second part, all in the same font.
Yep.
And there's still one sentence that's different from the rest, right?
Yes. Continue to advise patient against driving for the time being is, again, in a different font.
And it's the only sentence in this entire document that's in a different font. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
And in fact, that same sentence, continue to advise patient against driving for the time being, well, it's different in this third one too, if you flip the page.
That's correct. Yes, it is.
The exact same sentence, continue to advise patient against driving for the time being. Is that right?
Yep.
Now, Dr. Condon, you've been sitting in court the whole time today, right?
Yeah, I have.
You listened to everybody's testimony.
I did.
You listened to me sit right where you are and read portions of Bobby Daly's testimony, right?
I did, yes.
You heard me read that Bobby Daly has no recollection of you ever telling him not to drive.
I heard that, yeah.
You heard me read that if you had told him, well, he would have stopped driving, right?
I heard that, yes.
But Dr. Condon, you knew. You knew that through each and every one of these visits, the patient was still driving. Is that right?
Yes, I advised him of the risks of driving at the time, but I was aware that he was still driving.
So Dr. Condon, that's a yes to my question. In each and every visit, you were aware that Mr. Daly was still driving.
Yes, unfortunately, he was still driving.
Thank you, Dr. Condon. Thank you, Your Honor. I have no further questions.